Hey, what's up, everybody? John Hiley here, your host of PDR Tool Time, and I'm coming to you to tell you about DentTrainerMedia.com. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, get on over there. We do have 5 spots available for our mega media event. I'm going to quickly break it down because this event has more value packed in it than any event in the world for what we do. And I'm going to tell you why. Because not only are you going to have the chance to win over $25,000 in tools, you are also going to get a free admission into the electrical vehicle certification that we're going to be talking about on this podcast. Kevin and Jordan, after we recorded this, graciously said any mega media event attendee will be able to attend their course in Texas with their admission to the mega media event. On top of that, I think that's about an $800 value for free. On top of that, Mobile Tech RX is giving all of our attendees $100 and the chance to win a $1,000 credit on your account. Above and beyond that, guys, we have great speakers. We have Amanda Cost that's going to be talking about logo design. We have the Zigglers coming out, lead coach David Wright. We're going to have business coaching going on the entire weekend. You ever thought about systemizing and structuring your company in a way that it just runs? That's what this event's all about. Above and beyond that, you get to walk away with the best photos and the best videos industry-wide to make your website and all of your content look amazing and beautiful. You cannot purchase that with all this value at that price. So anyhow, guys, if you are a smart business owner and you want to elevate yourself above and beyond the competition and you want to dominate your market and potentially win a ton of tools, head on over to DentTrainerMedia.com. We do have 5 seats available. Get yourself signed up. I'd love to see you out there, and we look forward to transforming your business. All right, guys, let's go ahead and listen to the podcast.
You're listening to PDR Tool Talk, all about PDR stories, tools, and techniques.
For the thousands in attendance, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Hey, what's up, everybody? John Hiley here with another episode of PDR Tool Time, chilling with co-host Daniel Grom and Vince D'Alessandro. And just want to give you guys a heads up. We do have Kevin Andrews as a special guest today, and we'll be bringing Kevin in here momentarily. We want to talk about some very, very interesting and important things that Kevin's going to be bringing to the table in Arlington, Texas next month. So how you guys doing? How's your day? What's happening? Let us in on something.
What's going on, John? You haven't been around for a long time. Daniel, how you doing?
Good. Yeah, it's good to see you, John.
Yeah, man, it was a combination of the flu and I mean,
yeah, you were pretty sick there, huh?
Yeah, I got it pretty bad for a little while. It was running a fever, crazy shit like that happens when you have the flu.
Oh yeah.
I still got a little bit of a cough. I just can't shake that last little bit of it. But
do you turn into a big baby when you get sick, like me?
Actually, I don't. I actually work the whole time. It's weird. I get out there and I somehow manage. A lot of my videos that you guys seen was when I had the flu.
Yeah, we could hear that you were sick.
Yeah, somehow I forced myself. Like, I got this idea that, like, to be super successful, you have to, like, not rely on motivation. Because anybody can do it when you're motivated. But can you do it when you do not want to?
Yeah.
That's the thing that I try to fight myself all the time. I'm like, you know what? You feel like shit. You look like shit. You sound like shit. Now get out there and do some shit. So I don't know.
I'm the same way. I don't take a lot of time off at all, but I turn into a big baby when I get home.
I do when I get home too, because I want that loving from my mom.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? It was so tough.
With my back.
Yeah. That I can admit to.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and Mike is the same way right now. He's training someone, and he's a little bit under the weather. That's why he's out right now. He's complaining of a sore throat. But Mike is like on and off the last month or two getting sick. You know, he's catching everything that's out there.
I haven't gotten
Yeah,
sick
man.
all year, man. I've been good.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
caught it for a week in Chicago over Christmas, and I've been fine ever since.
All right, let's move on to
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, we don't want to get our audience sick.
Right.
They're probably gonna listen to this and be like, "Oh man, my throat does kind of hurt lately."
Right.
Yeah, hey, I'm starting to get sweats. I'm sick. Don't
Yeah.
do it, guys.
Yeah.
Take the negativity and flush it out now. And I want you to say to yourself, healthy, wealthy, strong.
Absolutely.
Healthy, wealthy, strong.
Positive.
So we're bringing Kevin on from TDN to talk about an interesting subject, and I got to see him at MTE do a presentation on this, and it opened up my eyes quite a bit, and I had learned a lot of things that I didn't know, and it can possibly save my life, that knowledge that you passed on to me. So I appreciate that. Thanks for coming on, Kev.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Now,
2
Kevin, who are you?
In Kevin's time. Tell everybody that. He's a champ.
Oh,
2
one in the
a.m.
morning.
Vince and Daniel, it's 5 for them, and it's 8 o'clock for me, and 2 a.m. for Kevin.
We're 1 a.m. 1 a.m.
1 a.m. Okay, I got you. 1 a.m. I got
It doesn't matter after 12. It's all the same.
Stop
Yeah.
counting then.
So, yeah, we want to thank you for coming on the show, Kevin. Do you want to give our listeners a little a taste of who you are and where you're from? And
Yeah. I'm well, Kevin, as you already said, from TDN over in the UK. You probably know us for the tool carts and the hood stands.
Yep.
I head up the training side of things as well. So I teach, and yeah, we've been looking into the electric vehicle and hybrid vehicle stuff for a number of years now. You know, because obviously things are getting more and more popular. So we decided that actually these things are quite dangerous, and we should learn a little bit more about them, and open my eyes. So I thought I would give my insights to everyone else.
Oh, sure. And that's really why we wanted you to come on the podcast and talk about it, because I feel that it's very important. We were having a conversation, you and I, the other day about me. I work on a lot of Teslas, and I own an electric vehicle.
Yep.
And there's many times I take out that power source in the back to get to the rear quarter panel, and I think it's off. But is it?
Yeah, there you go.
That is the big question, is it? That's
Yeah.
what I learned. I learned it wasn't off.
That's the thing with the high voltage, is you can't see it, you can't hear it until you're getting a good old buzz from it. That's it.
So how much of voltage could that shock you if your tool was to come in contact with something? I mean, what could it do? Let's scare everybody first. Let's start off by scaring.
We'll go from the two ends. We'll go from early generation, something like a Prius. Now the battery packs are all DC, so that's the first thing we need to know. The hardest thing to know about DC is muscle spasm. So if you catch a whack from a DC battery, you're not going to let go. You're just going to sit there and fry basically. Mm. So a early Prius is 201.6 volts DC.
Okay.
When it goes up, when it's in active mode, it goes up to about 500 volts AC.
How many volts does it take to kill somebody?
Have a guess.
I have no idea.
DC or AC?
DC.
Both.
Go DC.
DC, I would say 800.
800 volts DC.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else?
I would say maybe 250 volts DC.
Anyone else? Daniel,
No.
what do you reckon?
I'll
Come
say
on.
You should
500.
know this, actually.
Yeah, you were in the class.
I know. I missed the very beginning of it.
I'll let you off this. No. It's 60 volts and 30 volts.
Wow.
That's it?
That's it. So
Holy
anything
crap.
above that is classed as high voltage,
Mhm.
up to 1500 volts. Then it goes into the crazy stuff, the power line stuff.
Yeah.
And half an amp. So that's
Half
all,
an amp.
half
Wow.
an amp. Yeah, it's all that's needed. So yeah, you have to be. You're talking about the Teslas there, Vince. The 100D. You're looking at 400 volts DC, up to nearly 1,000 volts AC when that's running.
So
Sure.
on the Teslas, if you expose the back of the terminal, you can see the two wire leads,
Mhm.
two posts. Basically, if you touch both of those with one of your tools, you're good, you're done.
Yeah, you're going to know about it. Yeah.
You're going to be stuck to it too, vibrating or just
That's it.
not able to get off.
Yeah.
That would be awful. That honestly, it reminds you of the time that dent guys, the back of their trucks catch on fire when they don't cover their batteries, and a tool lays on top of them and arcs.
12 volt.
I've personally seen it on a car battery where a technician had it hung in a hook and it was laying in the positive terminal, and the hook was obviously grounded or whatever, on the hood. And we came back from lunch; it was glowing red.
Yeah.
And literally he had to pour like, oh my God, the hook is like dripping. It's starting to drip and the tool is through it. Okay. So we're like, okay, we pull the tool out and he smacks it off, right. with the end of his rod. And the thing, I am not shitting you, went all the way across the shop and hit a Saturn deck lid that is made of plastic on the bottom and caught it on fire. And burnt the bottom. The one place that it had to hit was a deck lid that was off on the ground, and slid and hit that plastic part at the bottom. And so there we are. We're replacing the bottom of a deck.
Well, it's better than replacing your hand, though. So that's the.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. But that's an example. That's a clear example when you hit positive and negative.
Well, you see them in the old days when we used to shrink dents. Before the big dent machine and so on and so forth. 12 volt battery and just arcing it out on the bottom of the panel.
Yeah.
So these things are they've got a lot of potential. And there was a statistic, something like, I think it was something like 20 people a year are killed licking 9 volt batteries.
Oh, geez. I've had my son lick a 9 volt.
Yeah, there you go. You've got to have a pretty dodgy ticker, but yeah,
he likes it.
Is it like old people that are dying? They're just like so old, they're kind of like senile, and they're like, "What's this?" They're with the pacemaker.
Is this battery still good? Testing it.
Yeah, right.
See, I think one thing that you mentioned that I didn't even realize is I didn't realize it switches to AC current, because AC current is definitely worse than DC.
Actually, DC's say DC's. DC's the worst of the current because of the spasms.
Okay.
With AC, generally it will just blow you across the room.
Right.
But yeah, you have up in the, depending on what sort of car you've got, like Hondas, for argument's sake, have them underneath the trunk area. The Prius and cars like that will have it under the hood, but it'll be a DC AC converter and inverter. So it will control the 12 volt system as well.
It's interesting that you say that, because in America a long time ago, there was obviously like a war over AC and DC. Yeah. And one of the strategics over that war was that, AC was much too dangerous. Mm-hmm. And they actually, no kidding, this is how inhumane, like imagine doing this today. They fried an elephant. They fried an elephant on DC wiring to prove to the public that it was too dangerous to have in your household.
AC?
Or AC, AC. They fried an elephant on AC to prove that it was too dangerous to have in your household.
Sure. And
you kind of see how that worked out because, it got bought by, I forget the one big banker, I think Rothschild or something to that nature. And then after that, it was over, Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was the big thing with Tesla. Tesla invented AC, and Edison had DC.
Correct.
And DC requires multiple lines. Each house needed a line where Tesla came up with one line, carries the current, and then goes down to each house. So back in the day, look at the old pictures, you see like billions of lines through New York City. I think there's some places like Bangladesh and stuff like that. You still see that crazy stuff.
Yeah, so the DC lines, yeah.
Yeah, right. That's interesting. That's just super interesting, though. That now we're frying ourselves today off of this the same currents. All right,
right. And that's
we are the elephant.
Yeah.
But I think that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to bring Kevin on, is because the tides are changing. I see it out here in California. We have a ton of electric cars. I even own an electric car, and it's migrating. It's migrating all over the country, and we're having to work on these vehicles. We're guessing if it's turned off properly. We're guessing, if we're capable of working on things, or maybe we're passing on them because we're too afraid to work on them. So, and I think that's one of the main things that I was hoping to talk to Kevin about is, who is this for? What is this program that you have going on at Anson for? Who's going to benefit?
I'll give you a little bit of a run behind. We have a governing body in the UK called the IMI, and it's a government-run scheme that basically it shows that everyone that holds an IMI qualification follows manufacturer's protocol. Now, manufacturer's protocol obviously supersedes anything that anyone writes anywhere. So this is for the EV qualification that we deliver is a level 2. So it'll give you a very good idea of the structure and makeup of an electric vehicle, hybrid vehicles. Where to touch, where not to touch, what safety equipment you should have, and also how to safely power the vehicle down. So to be fair, anyone that's going to be, especially, like Hale guys, you're working around a car that's been stripped. You don't know what's been taken out. You don't know where your tool's going to be touching. Some of the tips we're using now are so sharp, and the shrouds aren't particularly big on these cables. It's going to be a very, very, long shot that something is going to happen. But as long as there's a potential there, then, I want that thing powered down. And also, for the guys on the street that are jacking up a car, taking a wheel off, the cables on a lot of the vehicles run underneath the car. You've only got to touch one of those with the corner of the jack, and again, so there is so many areas we need to be careful of. So for my advice, I did it. I was working on Teslas as you were, Vince. And you're working on the rear quarters around the charging ports, and you just don't know what's going on in there. So yeah, we looked into it, and a small piece of knowledge I feel is a lot more dangerous than knowing all the facts.
Heck, man, I think I was using one of them things for leverage.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, look, my tool goes right in there beside it, right there on that casing. Perfect leverage. I don't want to take this thing out. It'll be wide open. That's too much space. I love it.
Yeah, and then you get a phone call and get distracted, and your tool slips off, and pop.
Could you wear like big rubber boots and do it? Vince's mat. We'll lay the mat on.
The mat.
The mat takes care of everything. We will lay the Magna mat down.
There we go.
Both feet on it and just push away.
There's another use for the Magnatech mat right there.
There we go. Just check the voltage distance on it. I see some of those magnets though.
What's that, Daniel?
Buy 2, 1 for each foot.
There you go.
Yeah, 1 for each foot. We're gonna come up with somebody's gonna invent the rubber boots, the hybrid boots.
Well, they've actually been invented already.
Oh yeah, really? That's
they've
mighty good idea.
It's one of the. You look a bit of a clown wearing them, but so as long as you've got a, when the power down procedure comes in, you just basically you don't want anything touching the vehicle other than one of your hands.
Right.
So generally, you operate the one hand method, standing on the mat. So if anything does happen, then you've got half a chance.
Mm-hmm. Now, powering down. Have you had issues with the car once you repower it up? Have they thrown codes or anything like that? No,
generally they're pretty okay. If you follow manufacturer guidelines, obviously they're not about to do something that's going to keep throwing codes. I personally haven't had any issues. Obviously I'd always endorse a pre and post scan.
Yeah,
to cover yourselves. But
that is the worst thing ever when you get done with the Hale car and you start it up and there's a code.
Yeah.
But then you sit there and you're thinking, did I check it before, and was this code there before I got here, or did it come on after? And then you got to do that dreaded call to the customer like, hey, Was your check engine? Did your check engine light? Did that happen to be on before you brought it in? Sucks, man. You know what I mean? And then you alarm them. They're like, check engine light. No.
No.
You know, and then you're like, oh, shit. It's just so bad on so many levels, man.
You
It's
now own it.
like the worst thing that could ever happen. You know, it used to happen when you took off the rear hatch of Toyotas, I think it was. The check engine light would come on for the airbags.
Wow.
If you started it and moved it after the hatch was off. And it's quite common in a hailstorm to, you know, unassemble a car and then have the hatch off and have to kind of move it somewhere, you know?
Yeah.
Every time it threw a code, and you always had to take it to the car dealer to have them reset it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Airbag code too, which is even scarier for the customer. Oh, an airbag, is it going to deploy on me? You know, it's going to deploy, you know, I mean.
Audis are the same way with the headlights. You take a headlight out and start that up, you got a code. That's it. Put it back in.
He knows about it as well.
Yeah.
So you're going to be in Texas doing a certification. Guys can call you up, get signed up. And how long is the class?
It's a day class. I mean, it's quite an intense day. And we try to sort of get going about 8:30 in the morning. Hopefully, we'd like to get everyone wrapped up by sort of 6 in the evening. Depending on obviously people's knowledge of electricity, really. That's the big thing, because we have to hit a few criteria.
Sure.
And then you're going to be issuing some kind of certification after,
Yeah. If
and
there's,
that's recognized here in the United States.
It's recognised internationally. Yeah.
International.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic.
So if you're a hail guy traveling around the world, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that might be a good selling point in some circumstances, especially if you know, you get a higher end dealership or something like that, or just clients in general would appreciate that. Like if you're doing some retail at a hailstorm, and on your website you have specifically that you're certified to work on electric vehicles, including Tesla. The Tesla guys would knob all over that. I'm telling you, I mean, they'd be ooh, blah, 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 blah. They would love it. You know, because that's just, I mean, anybody who has a high-end car like that, you're always looking for somebody that specializes.
Yeah, you bought into the same thing they did.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, you can charge the insurance company for that power down procedure, right?
Yes, I mean, I did have a chat with Paul Corden at the Advanced Skills Seminar, and we were throwing back a few ideas. And he was saying, well, he seems to think that the same cost as a pre and post scan would apply, because it's the potential for damage. This isn't just saving our lives. It's the customer and anyone else working around the shop as well. So we're carrying a lot of risk. So obviously that needs to be accounted for. So no one's come up with a hard and fast plan yet or price matrix, but it's definitely something that
Okay,
the industry
gotcha.
needs to work with.
Ultimately in situations like that, I just throw out something that I think is worth it. What is it going to cost me? What am I willing to do it for? And I argue that point.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They come in and I say, hey man, look, this is what I got to do. And this is what it's going to cost,
Well, what's the
You
average?
want to throw it on the headliner? You want to stick it on something else? I don't care where you stick it. Just make sure you stick it in there and I get paid for it.
What's the average length of time, would you say, would be like an average time to power down?
An average power down, I mean, the cars are getting better and better. A power down on something like a new Prius, you're talking maximum 5 minutes.
Okay.
And that's if you want to start working into the hybrid system as well. So there's certain checks you'd have to do. For what we would do, it would just be a case of disconnecting the 12-volt side, making sure the key for the vehicle is away from the car. So that's a good tip there.
16. Oh no, 5 minutes. What is that in insurance time? 0.01 or 0.05, something like that.
It's negative. They're going to charge
Yeah,
you.
they're gonna bill me for this.
But no, it's pretty quick.
The $3.
And is it a law in England that you have to power down the vehicle?
Is it? Sorry, is it?
Is it a law? Are there laws already stated that you have
It's-
to power down?
Funny enough, no. This is from my understanding. All the people I've asked, the law is international. You shouldn't work on a live vehicle. If anything happens to you or anyone around you, and the vehicle is live, ultimately you hold complete responsibility.
Sure.
So,
And there's not just the shock value involved. I'm sure most of our listeners have seen videos on YouTube of what happens to a lithium battery when it gets pierced.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bomb. It turns into like this big explosion of flames everywhere.
3-day fire. Yeah.
Exactly. We've all seen the what are those hoverboards burning down houses. That's what the cars are.
I am going to add a potential death charge on my next estimate to the insurance company. It's going to say potential death $1,000. And if they try to argue it, I'm going to be like, I could die. I'm putting my life on the line for this car.
Right? Who's going to argue with that?
I know. I get all cinematic about it,
So,
maybe drum up a tear. Think of the most saddest thing I've ever thought of.
Oh, sure. So, Kevin, what are the dates of the show? What's going on? Give us the lowdown with where it's at and all the good.
Okay. Well, Christina Anson is very kindly hosting the event either side of the open house. I believe the first date is the 5th of April, and I believe I'm just going to check it out here, but I'm pretty sure it runs out to about the 12th. Let me just check. 10th, 11th, 12th. Yeah. So it's going to be the 5th to the 12th at the moment. We have we have availability for.
See, and that's excellent because whoever's coming out for the Mega Media event, you could get there a day earlier, take this course, or you could take it, after the Mega Media event is over. You could stay on. I'm planning on taking it on Sunday. Yeah, and Daniel's going to join me for that.
Yeah,
as
well. And I'll be sure to send an email out to all the Mega Media attendees, and everybody on our list, letting everybody know that this is available. And that they should definitely consider it. Because
should they sign up before?
How do they?
Christina's she's holding the all of the details at the moment. So basically, it's easier because obviously time scales, etc. But she's going to log everyone in, and then she's going to pass the details across to me. We just need some basic information so I can register a candidate number.
So you're saying that this can happen on ansonpdr.com?
Yes, that's the one. Yeah.
Okay. It is ansonpdr.com, right? Not Anson.
It is Anson PDR. Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Yeah. Well done. Yeah.
I can't keep track of it all, but that's what I thought.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, guys, these guys over here at TDN, have supported us to the end. And they're literally, for all you Mega Media attendees who might consider this, these guys they've joined up for a $2,000 giveaway package where Jordan is going to try to get a custom cart to give away to you guys who attend our event. And he's drumming up some other tools that we're going to be giving them away at our event to you guys there. So, if anything, they're supporting everything that we're doing. They support you guys. And it'd be awesome if you had a chance to take this course. I've heard nothing but great things about it.
Yeah.
One of the things that surprised me is when I was watching you do the presentation is you had the car roped off. Mm-hmm. You had gloves. You had this plastic mat. There was a lot of show to go on with this. Yeah. I was like, what is he doing?
That's the way you do it.
All those things are important, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's things like when you're dealing with high voltage, arc blast and arc flash. So if you have something that, the electricity can jump a gap. So you generally need around a 3-foot exclusion zone around the vehicle. Working on the vehicles in pairs. So there always must be someone else present. So if, for argument's sake, I was working on the car and I did happen to get a shock.
They can tackle you?
Yeah, basically you have a rescue pole, but you don't actually come into that exclusion zone. You get the pole, you hook it onto me, and you yank me off the car. The first thing is you want to run in, grab someone, pull them off the car, and then you end up big.
You guys are stuck together.
I'm fine now. But you're,
It's like, this is not the way I wanted to go, man. Me
Thanks, buddy.
either. I'm stuck behind you in a really weird position. This is not good. I was trying to tackle you.
Now, the big question, Kevin, because I was never ever good at school or classes or anything like that. What if I fail? What is there a failure rate? What
Is there a test?
there is a test at the end. Yeah. It's basically it's nothing.
Obviously, Daniel didn't take it. He showed up late and left early.
Well, that wasn't a certification. That was a demonstration.
Okay. I got you. My
A
bad.
little bit different.
No, it's if we don't, well, the IMI don't class it as a fail; they class it as a referral. To be fair, there's nothing really, if you've got a half decent memory, and you've written some notes throughout the day, there's nothing in there that's challenging. It's just basically to let me and the IMI know that everything's sunk in.
Sure.
But if there is something that someone falls down on, that's why we're there to, go off and spend a bit of extra time with someone just to give them the knowledge. I'd much rather, if anyone didn't understand, to spend a bit more time with them, to get them right.
That's good.
I will tell you that this electricity, and I personally know this, that it can travel through liquid as well. Okay. Because when I was a kid, we were bad. And we actually took a buddy of mine and we told him, we're like, go pee on that fence over there, man. And, he's one of them guys who are like, okay. He's just one of the guys you could, everybody has that friend. You could tell them to do anything and they just go do it. He was that guy. And of course he goes over there and he pees on the fence. And I mean, his eyes about bugged out of his head. He was just, stuck to that thing, man. Stuck to that thing until he was able to finish. And he got off of it, and we were just like, wow, that was so funny, dude.
Yeah, I had a good friend of mine in high school died from being on the electric rail, on the third rail in Chicago.
Really?
Yeah. He was down there doing some graffiti art where he shouldn't have been, and he was peeing, and I don't know if he was
Really?
or whatever, but he was. I know they did what is that on Discovery Channel? What's those two knuckleheads?
The Bad Ways to Die or something?
No,
you're
the
talking about
disprove thing.
Mythbusters.
Okay.
Yeah, Mythbusters. They did that years ago, but my buddy he died on the third rail peeing on it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, not good.
There you go.
He was.
That's not a good way to go.
I know.
No.
Although your very first toy is in your hand. The very first toy you ever find.
Good point.
I get to die with my first toy.
So why should guys bother even doing this?
Well, one, to stay alive, and just, I mean, like everything, it's good. It's a personal that I would want to do it. I have done it. Jordan, Tony, everyone around us in our company, as obviously, Jordan's not as active as he once was on pushing, but even he has decided, yes, this is something I need to know. If I'm out working a hail deal, I need to be able to advise, to people that I'm operating with their cars safely. And there's just general things now, even down to, safety of components. I mean, you spoke earlier, John, about vehicles being, damaged, check engine lights coming on. If you happen to be working with a hot box or a big dent machine or the power PDR box or whatever, you are going to be putting, an electromagnetic charge through the negative side of the car. Now, electricity runs negative to positive, not the other way around, which has confused a lot of people. So, you are a risk of something, popping, it could be, one of the little resistors or a relay or something that separates the body from the high voltage side. Something like that goes down. It could be a case of, the vehicle just shuts down and then you've got a big bill ahead of you.
Yeah.
Working. So
one of the things that I learned, because I one of my most popular videos was me taking out a Tesla light.
Yeah.
But what I didn't know is when you power it down, it can take up to how long to discharge?
I mean, dependent. This is where you would have to read every single manufacturer note, because there is a certain, depending on how large the capacitors are, that determines how long the power down sequence is. So, it could be, 2-3 minutes that the vehicle remains live still, but everything will be in the manufacturer's notes. So, if I was to pull things out of the air randomly, I'll be giving you wrong information.
Because I was under the impression as soon as I disconnected the battery, I was good to go. And I went immediately back there. I started fooling around with those terminals, and I could have shocked myself thinking that I was safe.
Yeah. I mean, the cars, don't get me wrong, they are massively safe vehicles. And I actually I have a video which I'll be showing in the event. I don't know if you actually saw it, Daniel, of the high voltage power line cut.
Yes, I did see that.
So, in that, you get to see, yes, the guy's jaws of life and his reciprocating saw were blown to pieces, but how quickly the system shuts down. So it's controlled by ECUs on either end of the vehicle. So, these cars are very safe as long as we know what we're doing with them. That's the big thing. And the other thing, when we take that high voltage disconnect plug out, the only thing that was stopping a tool from going into those terminals was that disconnect plug, which is now removed. So, we're working with, all sorts of funny shaped bars. Something slips, pops into one of those terminals, and we've got a problem in our hands. So it's just making sure that we know how to deal with that, how to protect it, so that we and us around us are all safe.
Yeah. I want to thank you for having this show. It's something that I've taken for granted because I've worked on hundreds of them, and it's like, well, it hasn't happened to me, but It hasn't happened to me yet.
Yeah. It's complacency. The more you do something, the more risk you take.
Sure.
Everything we do. But obviously, it's one of these things. You just can't afford to take that risk with the voltage you're dealing with.
Yeah. This class it's tax deductible. This is furthering your education. You write it off on your business as an expense for the end of the year. And it could save your life. It could save, your fingers, which we desperately need to do our jobs. Yeah.
And it's a selling point, I think. You put that on your website, that you get that certification.
Yeah. One thing I'll say about the certification as well, you do go on to a professional register, which is, one for the automotive trade. So if anyone wanted to check your credentials, drop your number in there, and, all of your qualifications will come up on that register. And it's not something that runs out either.
Right.
So, once you've got this, you've got it for life. Obviously, things will evolve, and hopefully you'll evolve with them. But
sure.
This qualification is with you for for the rest of your career.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that we've all done it. We've all depended on YouTube University to figure out how to got a taillight or this or that. And I've done it on Tesla. I've called up Daniel. Hey, how'd you disarm it? And he told me how he thought it was done. And I'd open the door and the screen's still on. So there's no way that the car was disarmed. It's like, okay, I'm just going to take a chance. And
there you go. Yeah, it's that one time you take the chance that something happens.
Right.
Exactly.
Like, well, I'm just going to unplug this cable right here, and I think that should do it. That would be so funny if that's what his course broke down to at the very end. He's like, all that, everything was built up, and he grabs one cable and goes, and you unclip it here, and you pull it off,
and you're done.
And I know it's not that easy but the thing is, guys, electric cars are here to stay because Tesla actually made them cool. Okay, we wouldn't even care if it was one of them Prius drivers or, you look at people driving around Chevy Volts, man. That's the ugliest damn Chevy car I've ever seen on play. Had the black things up there at the top. I wouldn't even care if I ever seen one of them things again.
Yeah.
But Tesla made them cool. So now, you never know. They might come up with a hybrid 3500 dually.
Oh, yeah.
It's still got to have that sound, though. I want a little bit of diesel smell, too. They got to, scent it, put some diesel scent going through it.
The Model Y. Tesla has already developed the Model Y, which is going to be a service vehicle. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's coming out.
It's gonna look
So-
like one of them transits.
I believe so.
Ah,
Something like
Something
that.
like that.
But,
I'm bringing dualies back, guys. Remember that.
yeah, but
I'm
my buddy
bringing
just bought-
dualies back. We
my
got
buddy
200
bought a
pounds of
new-
tools we got to carry around.
Sure.
200 pounds of tools. We need that 475 horsepower. Strip it, get it up to 700. You'll be doing donuts in the parking lot. You'll be rolling up like a boss. Remember that.
You'll never see him in England, though.
Yeah.
Roads aren't.
I'm gonna start a song and start bringing sexy back. Next time I'm bringing dualies back. Them transits won't know how to act.
I don't know if you noticed this, but there is a thing to sexy with Tesla. Do you know that?
I know.
Yeah. So the Model X was, first, and S.
Mm-hmm.
The Model 3 was actually supposed to be a Model E.
Well,
But,
we rented that one in California. That thing was
Yeah.
cool, man.
Model X.
then-
Yeah, I gotta
And-
admit.
Then they have the Model Y coming out, which spells sexy. The Model 3 is actually a E in reverse. So
Yeah.
the line spells out sexy.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Elon
like
thinks
it.
of everything.
That's why Elon's a billionaire and we're not.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but he says that sexy stuff, but he actually asked the question. He goes, "How long do you actually think it would? I would have to invest in a relationship. like how many hours? He's trying to figure out how many physical hours he would have to invest because he's so busy.
Sure.
Could I invest like 4 a week? You know what I mean? And still be able to maintain this. So it's so funny. If you guys ever get a chance to read his book, take a little time. It will blow your mind.
I read his book. It's great.
It's a great book. It is a
Yeah.
great book, but it gives you a different outlook on Elon. And,
Oh, yeah.
He's
No,
a
you
badass.
appreciate him. He's
Yeah.
total badass.
He's a
Total
badass,
respect.
but he's also does some weirdo stuff like rents out a castle to play hide and go seek on his birthday with his friends. I mean, just
He's a
odd
big
stuff
kid.
like that too. So you get to see both sides of that. You know what I mean? It's very, very interesting.
Well, even with the rocket that he just sent,
Yeah.
if you watched it live, the Falcon
Oh, yeah.
Heavy Load, right?
Yeah.
And when they were pronouncing it, there goes the Falcon Heavy Load. What is every guy in America thinking, or the world? That's a effing heavy
The
load.
heavy load.
I think got the little guy in there with his hands on the
Exactly.
part of the window there, wasn't he?
Oh, they need to make the next Alien movie or whatever Alien movie comes out next. They need, before they get to Earth, they need to pass that car
Yeah.
and see that guy just cruising. And then the aliens get to Earth and go, you know what? These guys are kind of cool. Let's leave them alone.
Right.
Let's end the movie.
Yeah. It should be a commercial.
Hey, do you remember reading that part in the book, Daniel, where a guy, he took a meeting with some important dude from Australia or something like that. He actually flew in, he walked into Elon's office and walked in there, and Elon looked at him and said, well, what's the purpose of this meeting? And he said, well, to get to know you. And Elon looked at him and said, well, my name's Elon Musk. Now get the fuck out of my office. No patience whatsoever for anything above and beyond outside of business, So any of you guys ever get a chance to meet him? Make sure you got something.
Well, Kev, we appreciate you coming on and educating everybody and putting this all together. We're going to look forward to seeing you in Texas and getting our certifications and making this a safer country.
Yeah.
Super. Wow.
Yeah. So everyone go over to AnsonPDR.com or call Christina at Anson and get signed up for this program because we're all doing it. Come drink the
Yep.
Kool-Aid with us.
We'll live together.
Get some bacon burnt ends.
Mhm.
So Kevin, you're free to go to bed now. I know it's way past your bedtime on a school night.
On school night, yes. Hopefully,
All right,
it won't be
Kevin.
too hard tomorrow.
If you'd like to say anything else before I kick you out of here, say it.
No,
You have a
forever
tech
hold
tip.
Your peace.
You have a tech tip for us.
Tech tip.
Yeah.
Take the EV course. There you go. There's my
There
tech
you go.
tip.
That's a good
Gotta
tip.
do it. Gotta do it.
That's right.
All right, man. Well, thanks for
again,
coming
Kev.
on.
No, thanks for having us, guys. It's always great to see you.
Yeah.
This is
All right,
very, very good, Kevin. I appreciate it, brother.
Catch you in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
All right,
Excellent.
my friend.
We'll see you.
All right. Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
We'll see
Take
ya.
care. Bye bye.
So, gentlemen, there's a lot of knowledge going to be dropped at that, and I'm really looking.
Yeah,
forward.
man. Yeah,
I mean,
that's so
from
cool.
a marketing aspect, I am definitely going to capitalize on that out here.
Yeah.
Definitely. You know, us boys out in California, we're dealing with a lot more of these electric cars, but they're coming your way. I know Volvo, I think they have a set date that all their cars are going to be hybrids or electric and stuff. So there's a lot of these companies joining that bandwagon.
Yeah, we see a lot of them around here as well. I mean, we got several mall dealerships that are, got one in Cincinnati, one in Columbus. In fact, a guy that I know that owns a grocery store here locally, he installed, because he has a Tesla, and he installed superchargers out there, which, might I tell you, is very important to try to find them damn things. I'm out in the middle of California. I can't find them, and I'm on the Tesla app. They keep taking me to these little EV charging stations. I get on there, I hook that thing up, and I ask a dude, I'm like, so how long is it going to take me? Me and my wife are going to go eat some food or something. And he's coaching me through. He's got a hybrid Mercedes, right? He's coaching me through this thing. And he's like, well, you should get 20 miles in like an hour. And I'm like, what? 20 miles in like an hour?
Yeah,
so
you weren't in a super one.
Wifey, I was like, we're fucking leaving this piece of shit here all night. It's like, I was so mad already at the thing. And, so I just left that Tesla hooked up all night long. Okay.
Yep.
I hoped it would be there the next day, and showed up the next day. It was there. Looked at my bill. It was like $11. I swear to God, it was pumping, or well, not pumping, but it was putting electricity into it all night long. Above and beyond that, and then bastards, you get there, you can't pay. I'm like, where do I stick my credit card? Like, you got to call a number, set up an account, and then bill it through this number. And then this dude's like wearing this card around his neck. He just, I wear this. He's literally like wearing his EV scanning card on his neck, and sting, scanning it in. And I'm like, oh man,
so
that's
you would not rent an electric car again.
Well, I would demand that it was charged. And here's the thing, Enterprise rental car, they're like, oh, it's got like 190 some miles, you should be good. And because they didn't have the plug-in, you know what I mean? Like, because they didn't have the in, you got something that can plug into a wall, apparently.
Yeah, right.
But they had the first connector, but they didn't have the second connector. They couldn't find it.
Yeah.
And
that blows.
You guys seen, honestly, at the Mega Media event in San Diego, the Tesla shots are absolutely by far, and we've tested every shot that was taken there, but that shot with the doors open on that Gullwing Tesla gets more hits on Facebook and every audience that I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's a cool look.
It's a cool look, and it stands out like a sore thumb.
The thing that if you ever get in a Model X, the first thing that blows you away is that windshield. That windshield goes past your head, and it opens up the whole car. You feel like you're in a glass bubble, and it's like, wow, why aren't all cars like this?
The thing is fast too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we didn't have the Ludicrous model. Mike's friend came that had the Ludicrous model, but we had, I don't know whether it was a model down. I think it was the 80. I don't know what that is in perspective, but man, you stomp on it and you was gone. No friction.
Cool, man. So are we talking about anything else? Any other tools or anything like that? We're gonna wrap it up here.
I think that's the sum of the episode, you guys. I mean, really,
So Mike was insistent that we get back to some tech tips. So let's move into tech tips.
All right.
Okay.
Did you get some Daniel?
So I've been getting a rash of BB.
Ooh, a rash. Where?
A rash, dude. Come on.
A rash, man. You got to tell us where first.
Stay away from us.
I've been getting a rash of BB gun shots to cars. Kids are shooting up cars, and I've gotten, like, the last month I've gotten 4 cars have been shot by BBs. And have you ever tried to fix a dent from something like that?
I have. Most of the time it seems like the paint's already
the paint's destroyed, and all you're doing is shrinking like the
core,
the surrounding area around, and you can only shrink it so much. So what I do is I take 3M acrylic putty, and after I shrink the dent as much as I can without destroying it totally, and I put in acrylic putty, and I fill in that little deep little crevice, and you get the paint up level so you can touch it up. And what I do is I put the putty on there, and then I before it starts to dry, I get a rag with some lacquer thinner on it, and I wipe it down and rub it over it until I get all the surrounding area off, and it smooths it out. And I
Yep.
get it all smoothed out, and then I put the heat gun on there to shrink it and dry it as fast as possible, and then I do my touch up afterwards. But
Yeah.
it fills in that crack. If you got a good chip or something like that, I do it on chips every once in a while.
What kind of putty is that again?
3M acrylic. It's like their glazing putty.
It's a
Ah.
glazing. Yeah. Combi.
Yeah, it comes,
Combi is another brand out there that works really well.
and it just comes in like a toothpaste tube, and so you just squeeze. You barely use any when you're doing it, and I just have it in the drawer next to my touch-up paints, and it's just one of those things I do. I charge for it. I charge an extra $20 to do that. It takes a few minutes, but makes your touch-up job look a lot better.
Yeah. I swear to God that somebody sent me a picture of as an older Impala, so I knew I probably wasn't going to fix it anyway. And they had the nastiest, deepest ding that I've ever seen. I mean, this thing but the paint was not broken. And get this, it was from a bullet.
Oh, and it didn't
Yeah.
break the paint, huh?
Did not break the paint. It was the oddest thing that I'd ever seen. I mean, the dent was probably the deepest, roundest, hard hit thing. If you can imagine a BB the size of probably a 22 and just drilled in there, man.
Maybe it went through someone first.
Could have. Yeah, it could have. Something could have hit
Or
it and
shot
hit it.
from a
But
long ways away.
it didn't break the paint, but honestly, it was a job that I was looking at. Like, I probably would have done it just to say that I did it, But that was like the type of folks that wanted to pay $50. I mean, they got bullets on their car. You know what I mean? It's that's Dayton, downtown Dayton.
I'm going to give a tech tip that John Renstrom gave on one of the boards. Not everyone's out there that listens. It is on Facebook. But,
Right.
Daniel and myself have talked about Quick Check. Now, Quick Check is a spray that Daniel uses, I use on matte finishes. And you spray, I use it on matte finishes on tanks, motorcycle tanks, when I need to see, I use the packing tape and I get everything up. But then it's like you go back and forth with packing tape, and it's a pain in the butt. So with the
Yeah,
Quick
you
Check,
can't always get packing tape to lay down smooth either.
that too, exactly. So with the Quick Check, you're able to just squirt it real quick. And as long as you're not in the sun, it's going to give you a working time of about 10 to 15 minutes before it evaporates out and doesn't damage the paint at all. And I strike and knock down right on top of the Quick Check. Now, you could get Quick Check, you could get it on Amazon or any paint supplier that supplies automotive paint. But John Renstrom had a great idea, and he's using it on vinyl, on matte vinyl that's on hoods or roofs, like racing stripes. Or you see some of these new Chrysler or Jeep products that have vinyl across the hood of it. It's half vinyl, half paint.
Sure.
And he showcased a video on our board showing that it was a car with hail damage. You couldn't see the light damage at all. You could see the bigger hits, but you couldn't see the smaller hits. By spraying that Quick Check on there, you take your pictures, make your circles and everything, and you get paid the money that you need to on the insurance, and everything's good. And it doesn't damage anything. It doesn't damage the vinyl wraps. It doesn't damage matte finish or anything. So get yourself some Quick Check. You never know when you're going to need it, and when you do need it, it's great to have right there.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm going to give a estimating quick tip, and something that is very effective when you're writing a hail damage estimate here. And what that is taking your oversized dents, and instead of putting them panel per panel, is writing them as one single line item. So for instance, if I don't know, you got 10 on the hood and you got 5 on the roof, and 10 on the deck lid, and 5 or 7 of them around the hood or around the vehicle, you add all them together and submit it as one line item, opposed to itemizing them on each individual panel. And what that does is that gets you out of the the game of, did this panel go over replacement cost type crap? You know what I mean? Because in all honesty, we know that we want to repair the vehicle with paintless dent removal anyway. It's better for the vehicle. So if you write them as a line item, And in all honesty, for the insurance companies, typically what we find is the agents accept that a little bit better. And a lot of times when they come back with their supplement, okay, so you put in a supplement and they come back with the revision, it's typically a line item. So they don't usually write it per panel. They'll write it as one big lump sum or line item. So in a sense, always go the path of least resistance, make their job easier, and get out of that panel to panel fight on each and every panel of, did this thing go $1 over replacement cost?
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great tip. I didn't even think of that.
Yep.
Right on.
Well, cool. So, gentlemen,
Well,
should we wrap this episode?
Yeah, that brings us to the end.
Yeah,
Brings it to the end, y'all.
I think that was good. I got a lot of knowledge tonight.
Yeah.
I'm feeling fulfilled for the
See
week.
You guys in Texas in a few weeks, and hopefully a lot of our listeners will join us.
Absolutely.
And, don't forget to level up your tools.
Hey, that's right, guys. I'll give you a shout out. If we still have tickets available, head over to denttrainermedia.com. Just so you know, we are giving away over $25,000 in tools to our attendees at the event. It's just a crazy, man. Could you imagine, guys, just real quick, could you imagine if we did that at the last event?
Yeah.
The excitement above and beyond how exciting it was.
They got a bunch of free stuff. What are you talking about, man?
But we're talking about $25,000 worth of tools. Todd Zimmerman himself's given away, I think, 3 carbon rods.
Oh, wow.
Man, I love that thing.
Jordan Fisher's giving away a cart.
I want the cart.
Oh,
I
man.
want the
So,
stand in the cart.
look, if you guys want to get in on it, I'm telling you, it's going to be the best investment you made. You got a big chance of winning. So anyhow, you guys join our revolution. See us out at Anson. And if you can't make it to the Mega Media, I'm not mad at you. Just go to Anson's open house and get in on Kevin's event if you can. Check us out there. We'd love to see you. And as usual, Daniel, did you say it
Level up
already?
your tools. Yep.
Peace out. All right.
All right.
See ya.
Bye.